All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Rahul. He's another musician that reached out about the interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey everybody, my name is Rahul Borkar. I am from Louisville, Kentucky, and I've been doing music for a very, very long time, and without feeling too old, probably about 30 years. So yeah, it's pretty much been a massive part of my life for the majority of my life.
Perfect. So tell me about how you first found music and got involved in it. What about it was appealing to you and made you want to participate in it?
All right, one of my pretty much very good memory during it. My mom just was having a procedure done, and I stayed with one of her friends. And because my dad is a physician, so I was staying with because so he was busy working, so I stayed with one of her friends, and her son, he was probably like 17 or something like that, was a drummer, and you know I mean, I don't know why, but like I fell in love with it, as soon as I saw him playing. And then I actually remember this. So I was probably like 7 or 8, and he would put me on his lap, and I would play drums. My feet wouldn't touch the kick drum, but I remember him being it's so impressed because I had a beat. I could keep a beat pretty well for a kid. So from that day on, I just wanted, I knew I was wanting to play music.
Okay. And so once you did kind of, validate that within yourself, how did you pursue that feeling? Did you start learning other people's music, start learning instruments? What was your first steps into it?
I guess I got really into rock music when I was 11. And finally, when I was 12, I didn't get the drum set yet, but my mom got me a guitar. And I picked it up, and I picked it up pretty quickly. And I had a lot of friends that were guitar players, so I never took lessons, but I kind of just got like the basics from them. And so by the time I was 13, Nirvana had come out and stuff like that. So, and Pearl Jam was big. So I just kind of started playing that kind of stuff and kind of just self-taught. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the stepping stone. And a year later, she finally got me that drum kit, so I was playing guitar and drums, and it was just a blast.
Okay. And then once you did learn that stuff and you felt comfortable playing and everything, did you start looking for other musicians to do like the garage band circuit, or did you start, working on your own stuff? Tell me a bit about, how you began to explore into working with music.
Sure. So, I mean, I think pretty much anybody who picks up an instrument, they kind of dream of being in a band. So ironically, my parents didn't want to give me, instrument until I was 13, but we ended up, she would let me play and have people over. So I think by the time I was 14, I found, actually the guy that, had taught me how to play guitar. I asked him if he, since I got the drum set, I asked him if he wanted to play. So he would come over and we would just jam. He was a phenomenal guitar player. And then, I picked up drums very quickly. I just played it by ear. And yeah, I mean, just from then on, I kind of got used to writing music. Even as a drummer, I still play guitar, so I would still write. And pretty much that day on, I really became interested in writing music instead of playing other people's music. So by the time I guess I was a freshman in high school, I had a full on band, and we were playing shows. So I was a freshman in high school, the cool kid that was in the band. And our singer at the time had a 4-track studio recorder. It was just 4 tracks. Back in the day, that's what people used. We didn't use computers. Again, not feel old. But so since he left it at my house, I started kind of tinkering with it and realized that I could record the drums, I could record guitars, and I could do vocals. I had never tried doing vocals at that point yet. And then, yeah, one thing led to another. I wrote a song, played the drums, played the guitar, did the vocals, and then all of a sudden I was kind of doing the Dave Grohl thing. And yeah, I mean, it just never stopped from there.
Okay. And so how many different kind of iterations of a band do you think you went through, finding that you wanted to do it?
The guys I was in a band with as a freshman was one of my best friends. He and I still play music together 30 years later. So ironically, yeah, I still play with a lot of the same people. As far as iterations goes, since I did the drum thing for a while in that band. Then after that, I was singing in a kind of a hardcore band with some different people. And then after that is when I got into more of the, I'm not in a high school garage band anymore. It's a lot more professional. I was in a band called, at that time, we were called Element H. We later had to change it to Breckenridge, and that was when I was about 20. Oh yeah, I was 20 years old. And yeah, they asked me to play guitar for them and I came into the band. And then it was a whole different scenario because, you were talking about garage bands earlier. This one actually became something that, there were realistic goals that were very high, and yeah, I mean, and achieving them at the time, I didn't think we could. I just didn't realize, getting big in my city was, important. But then we had goals to, nationally become big, and we did a good job getting there.
Nice. So that kind of leads us up to, the kind of stuff that you're working on now. And are you involved in multiple projects? You said that you're kind of writing for your own stuff as well. Give me the rundown about what you're currently doing.
Well, I think no matter what I do, I will always write and I'll always, do stuff for myself, especially because, I can record everything. And, one of the blessings of, technology is that it always gets better. And nowadays you can have a professional studio in your bedroom, or you can create, professional sounding, material from your bedroom. I have electronic drum kit. I've got all the gear to do, release stuff, to be honest with you, professionally. So I'll always be doing that. And I had some projects. I had a project with the guys from Kid Rock, Three Doors Down, Shine Down, and Leonard Skinner. And we were actually finishing our record, and then COVID hit. So like we had like one more week of stuff to do to finish it up. But yeah, COVID hit, and then everybody was at home. And then I started discovering that people were doing stuff online, and I was like, whoa, okay. So I now what I do is, I could do everything online now with people. So yeah, so during that time, when I wasn't recording my own stuff, I was like, hey, maybe I should start producing, because I had always been fascinated. I'd always been the artist and never been the producer, behind the scenes, behind the desk, pressing record, telling, giving suggestions to bands and, stuff, just putting my input into it. And during that time, I started, dipping my toes into that aspect of things and started working with people. And then I realized that I got just as much satisfaction as being an artist as doing artist development. So, with like, talented singers or hip hop people or pop singers or whatever, I'll produce the stuff, but I'll also co-write with them. So that kind of, I realized I didn't know I had that passion at the beginning. So, and now I do. So I've kind of shifted from being an artist, but like I said, I'll always still write music and record, but I'm doing more producing and artist development for other people now.
Awesome. And since you did kind of connect a couple dots there, having a project studio in your bedroom and then also working online, I always like to give a shout out to the subreddit community Bedroom Bands, who essentially does exactly what you just described. It's a bunch of musicians that are all collaborating on music via Reddit, and they constantly have projects that they're putting out, and I think it's a really cool project. So I like to promote them.
That's awesome. I'd like to, for anybody that wants to get into that, there's a software called Session Wire that I use, and it basically just lets you, it's like Zoom, but for musicians. It's kind of like high def audio going back and forth to people, and it's pretty amazing what you can do. So I've produced people in London, Australia, Canada, just, and then of course all over the US. And yeah, man, technology has really made things better. Like back in the day, you had to travel to work with somebody for hours, and now you can just be like, hey, you want to meet me online? And then bam, you're writing music together. It's very cool.
It speeds up the process a lot for sure.
Yeah.
So with that kind of being the stuff that you're working on now, where do you want to see yourself go in 5-10 years? What do you want to see your career develop into?
I'd like to, have my name known as not just a record producer, but as somebody that, like, not saying that all the producers don't, but I want my big thing to be like, he really cares about his artists, because honest to God, everybody I produce, they've become not just friends, but like people I consider family. So I think relationships are extremely important to being a good producer. And I make sure that there's a vibe there first. So yeah, I mean, I care about everybody I work with, and whether they pay me or not, I still give the same amount of effort, because everything that leaves my, leaves my hands and goes to somebody else, well, it would torture me if I did not give it my all. So yeah, I mean, so if people knew me as that, I would be very happy. I'd be content with my work.
Sure, definitely. So, tell me some of your favorite memories that have happened to you surrounding music, whether it was a show you went to or a piece of music you put out. What sticks with you and kind of keeps you motivated?
Okay, so when I was in the band Breckenridge, we had a song that we got, worked with a producer named Malcolm Springer, and it's called Honesty. And all of a sudden, the program director at Clear Channel really liked the song, and he started spinning it. And I remember the first time that it was on there, and I remember being in the car with my mom, and I just remember pointing at that, and I go, "Mom, that's me." And she goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my band." And it was just a incredible feeling because like I said, I knew that I knew a little bit before then that I had kind of transferred out of the garage thing, but to show your parents that getting on the radio, with something that's not like the local hour, but it was like a national thing, is a pretty cool thing to show your parents. And so they were proud, I was proud, and it was just a great, just again, I'm a big family guy, so being able to show that to them was pretty amazing. And I would say another pretty cool memory that and again, this is not to sound like a bragging point, but like it was a really special moment for me. But going back to the song, that song, it ended up getting picked up by national radio. So we were getting spins around the entire country, and we ended up becoming I think we charted at number 4 on the Billboard charts. And so at that point, we were getting calls from like a lot of people, a lot of labels, a lot of managers. And then one day, our lawyer called us, and he happened to be like, Kurt Cobain's lawyer and Nirvana, the Dixie Chicks, just a bunch of people. And he said, "Can you get to Cincinnati like in an hour and a half?" And we were like, "Well, we're in Louisville, so that it takes us exactly an hour and a half to get there." So we just got in the car and we bolted there. So it was actually a concert for the Eagles. And it turned out that the manager, Irving Azoff, wanted to meet us because he wanted, we were talking about doing a management deal with them. And it was just incredible meeting the Eagles and meeting him, because at the time I didn't realize, I wasn't into, like now I'm in the producer side. So I know people who do stuff, but I didn't realize how big of a name that guy was. And, it was just amazing just meeting all the guys in the Eagles, meeting him. The next day he got us on iTunes as the first unsigned artist. Yeah, I mean, when you say, can you think of a couple of memories? I've got so many. They're just so special.
Sure.
It's so hard. I could talk all day.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great opportunity. So where can people find your stuff and listen to what you're doing and some of the people you're producing and stuff? What are your links?
You can go online and I have rahulborkar.com. So it's RAHULBORKAR, and Borkar is my last name. So borkarproductions.com as well. And if you're looking for music, luckily I'm the only Rahul Borkar out there making music, so you can find it pretty easily. Facebook's a great way to get a hold of me. Instagram, I'm always, if you want to get a hold of me, it'll be pretty easy. And I love meeting new people. So if you want to reach out, go for it.
Excellent. So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So a message that you want to throw out there that you resonate with.
Okay, so I'll say this. First and foremost, for people who want to get involved in music or thinking about it, just remember that if you're creating something, that's actually what the goal is. The goal isn't success. The goal should be creating something because it's good for your soul. It's from your heart. It's something that you want to do. So if you're not on the radio right away, or if you're not doing this right away, don't be so hard on yourself, because there's a listener out there for you. You just got to find them. And you got to find that market. So keep doing what you're doing. Remember, the fact that you're making music and finishing songs is an amazing feat. Not everybody can do that. So just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually people will find you and you'll find them. So just keep at it.